And for more details on this developing story, here is a Republican strategist overseas, Erol Morkoc, joining us online from California. Erol, glad to have you join us.
Having me.
All right. First off, this action of Trump is unconstitutional. That's according to Bowser, the mayor of the city, and some other mayors describe it, even her, as an authoritarian push.
Well, unfortunately for her, she must have the wrong information. DC certainly can be federalized. It is a district of the federal government. And Donald Trump does have the authority to do this, especially in Washington, D.C. Now, his authority, of course, stretches across the country, but to do this in other cities, such as Chicago, for example, which has been talked about, would not be as cut and dry here. But here it's cut and dry. There's no debate. Pam Bondi is the proxy, and Muriel Bowser has to step back from that situation. She's admitted as much on camera, so now she's kind of grandstanding for the political clout because it's already been decided. Donald Trump has done what he's done, and there's nothing that they can legally do to stop him.
Trump claims that violent crime is out of control. Bowser says otherwise, and analysis by some reputable media organizations suggest different from what Trump is claiming.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that, and you can see how the field of statistics certainly is manipulative. One thing for your viewers to understand is that they have changed the metrics in DC. So the left or the Democrats are saying it's at a 30-year low, crime's at a 30-year low. Well, they removed homicide and carjacking from violent crime. So murder rate right now is 46 per 100,000. That's slightly better than Pretoria and slightly worse than Kingston, Jamaica. Okay, carjackings are up by a factor of 3 in the last 5 years, and the lethality of these crimes is at a 300% increase in terms of how deadly each interaction was. And just in 2023, they recovered over 3,100 illegal firearms. In addition, migrant crime, vagrancy violence, and drug violence related to the encampments around there are also disqualified from the statistics that they're citing. So yes, if you remove homicide and carjacking and the majority of these other things, and then you downgrade all of the crimes from felonies to misdemeanors, catch and release, sure, you can move the statistics around. But the fact of the matter is, on the ground, that's not the reality. And the reality is our nation's capital hasn't had this high of a murder rate since 1997. And there's no amount of statistical playground business that can deviate from that. If the Democrats had stats to show that these crimes were down, then I'd be here backpedaling. But if your homicide rate is so incredibly high, if your assault rates are so incredibly high, these are the problems that affect everyday people. And the latent effects of that is what happens to public spaces. So that means that the elderly woman isn't going to feel safe taking the metro. That means that the father maybe doesn't take his kids to the public park. So there's latent effects that spread throughout society and cause a tearing at the societal fabric. And that's what Donald Trump is here to fix for the American people.
Let me give you data. This is published by, I believe, an organization that you know, Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police, MPDC. It says violent offenses fell after peaking in 2023 and 2024. They hit their lowest level in 30 years. And it continues, it says they are continuing to fall according to preliminary data for 2025. And they went on to talk about violent crimes overall down 26% compared to the same point in 2024, and robbery down 28%. This is an organization that has authority to give this data. What's your sense of what they're saying compared to what you're saying and what Trump is saying?
Well, what I'm saying isn't like unique data. It's a fact. Simply, they've removed homicides from that data set. They removed homicide and carjackings. Now, these are the two most problematic things. If your carjackings are up by a factor of 3, if your homicide rate is the worst it's been since the 1990s, if it's more dangerous than Pretoria, South Africa, then I don't really care that, yes, maybe in some metric, violent crime is down. And now that President Trump has come in, certainly violent crime has gone down, at least proportionally. But these people who are citing these stats are openly citing stats that are devoid of homicide. They're devoid of migrant crime, vagrancy violations, and drug-related violations to the encampments. So again, it's just the same data back and forth, except they're excluding like homicide. You can't exclude murder from violent crime. Murder is, I think, very serious, and they should think it's serious too.
Right. Well, he has also threatened similar deployments to end New York and Chicago, two cities controlled by Democrats. Why is he concentrating on leaning towards Democratic states?
I would say that the major cities that are the sort of hot spots for whether it be human trafficking, drug trafficking, and the general malaise that the American people have had to experience with the 20 million illegal migrants into the country. Keep in mind, these are sanctuary cities. And so the major cities, say a New York, say a Chicago, well, yes, these are Democrat-controlled states and Democrat-controlled cities. And they've been run very poorly to the point where the mayor of Chicago has like a 16% approval rating. There's murders every day. It's not a safe place unless you are in the protected zone. And that seems very weird. That doesn't seem like a normal way to have a city where you say, oh, okay, this place, you just can't go there. And this place is totally safe and everybody here is going to be taken care of. So there's a tale of two cities in every American city. And you know what that hurts? It doesn't hurt the wealthy guy. The wealthy guy can afford to go to his nice park and stay in his nice area. It affects the middle class guy. It affects the working class guy. Those are the people who are affected by this. And that's why Donald Trump is trying to sort of save some of these American cities, whether it be Los Angeles and its poorly run response to many disasters, or it be Chicago to crime. He's the American president, and he has constituents in those cities, and every American citizen is somebody who he's trying to take care of. And I think reducing crime and taking criminals off the streets, that's what everybody voted for. The majority of the country voted for that.
All right, Republican strategist overseas Erol Morkoc, thank you for joining us all the way from California.